glad you're sitting in for Jimmy Fallon. Fox Across America from @RealDonaldTrump tweeted out, or is it on Truth Social or X? I can't tell which. He says, I greatly appreciate the recent efforts of Matt Gaetz in seeking approval to be Attorney General. He was doing very well, but at the same time did not want to be a distraction for the administration, for which he has much respect. Matt has a wonderful future, and I look forward to watching all the great things he will do. Matt Gaetz took himself out of consideration about an hour ago, about an hour and 10 minutes ago, not wanting to be a distraction to the building of Donald Trump's cabinet, the forming of his administration, and the fact that he had drawn a lot of incoming fire and was a source of a lot of controversy. So that story broke as we launched the show. Meanwhile, we launch your calls here at 888-788-9910. Gary in Madison, Vermont, you are up next on Fox Across America.
Hey, Paul, I've been following the progressive prosecution of Daniel Perry, New York City, and
God.
I had a thought. What if President Trump appointed a pardon czar, and that pardon czar's job is to follow progressive DAs and attorney generals, check on their work, and recommend presidential pardons for the people that they persecute?
Because the president has no pardon power in a court in New York.
He doesn't.
No, he can pardon a federal conviction, but he cannot pardon a state conviction.
Oh, darn.
Nice idea, but no.
Congress can work on changing that.
Well, that would be called the Constitution. You would have to change, because the states, the state courts, and the state criminal court system, civil court system, states are sovereign, and the federal government can't come wading in, nor do you want it to come wading into to the state of Vermont or the state of Texas or the state of Iowa or anywhere, saying, no, we the federal government, we the Biden administration think you should do it this way. That's the genius of our federal system. But you know what? Nonetheless, the court of public opinion ought to weigh in on the Daniel Perry case, because it is a miscarriage of enormous proportions. And the fact is, Alan Bragg is a George Soros DA, and those guys are going down to defeat one after the other. We just lost Gascon in Los Angeles, a George Soros DA, because even the dark blue people of Los Angeles, California, can't stomach what's going on there. So appreciate your call. We do have, finally, Greg Steube got on the line with us. Greg Steube from Florida's 17th District. Congressman, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Listen, about a little more than an hour ago, your former colleague, and maybe your colleague in the next Congress, Matt Gaetz, withdrew himself from consideration. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, one, I think it's very honorable of him to know that it was, if you've read his post, that it was obviously taking a lot of capital and time and distraction away from the transition team, and he obviously realized that he was going to have some challenges with the votes in the Judiciary Committee in the Senate. So to not get bogged down and let Trump, move forward, I think was very affable of him to just remove his name from consideration.
Well, that then opens up the seat. Surely President-elect Trump has others in mind. But let me ask you this, just a curiosity question. He resigned from the 118th Congress, but he won election to the 119th. Can he take his seat?
Yes, and the certification results for the 119th, I thought I'd have to go back and look. I thought it was going to be this week. I don't know if it was certified, but he is the certified winner of Congressional District 1 in the state of Florida. That'll be certified to Washington. So he only resigned from, just like you said, he only resigned from the 118th, so he very likely will now probably swear in on January 3rd to the 119th Congress, which would give then President-elect Trump another ability to pull somebody else from Congress that he would like to appoint. That's the challenge. We're looking at 3 or 4 vote majority, so the president can't take many members because obviously you don't want to lose the Republican majority in the House.
And I wish he wouldn't pull from Congress. I wish he's pulled enough out of the Congress. I wish he'd go someplace else because, as you say, the majority is so thin, and it's just takes one or two guys breaking ranks, and then you got a real problem. And the speaker's got a real challenge. Want to shift gears because, well, not necessarily shifting gears. He was tapped. Gates was tapped to be the Attorney General and take over the DOJ, and you sit on the House Select Subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government. I have been saying anytime I've been given the chance, filling in on this show or others, or in my weekly column, or many times I've said, of all of the swamp and of its vast reach, the deepest, darkest, most fetid corner of it is the Department of Justice. Agree or disagree?
100%. That's 100% accurate.
What is it going to take, what is the feasibility, given how deeply entrenched some careerists at the DOJ are, and how hard it is to get rid of a careerist? What is it going to take, and can it reasonably be done to clean that mess up?
I think it can under President Trump's leadership. I think it can under a strong Attorney General and a strong new FBI director. We have to do away with the intelligence communities using for political purposes, the DOJ weaponized for political purposes, the FBI weaponized for political purposes, and it starts at the top. And I think very strongly the American people saw the lawfare against President Trump all across the country. And that's one of the reasons why people that were probably middle of the road or independent voters voted for him, because they could see how screwed up the justice system is and how it was weaponized for political purposes against the president. And that's not American. That's not the way our justice system is supposed to work. So I think you have to root out the deep state and the DOJ, the FBI, all of the intelligence communities. And that is top of mind, I would think, for President Trump and that cabinet.
They're not going to go down without a fight. They're going to be as vicious as they possibly can be. I think we have a wiser and more experienced President Trump this time. But how vicious do you think that process will become?
Well, it's going to have to be strong, because you can't allow what happened before. And I think, like you said, President Trump learned a lot of great lessons from his first time in office of who he can trust, who he cannot trust, how fast he needed to move to do things. He's only got 4 years to get things done. And a lot of this has to happen right away. And I think you fire as many people as you can fire right away and have people reapply for their positions. And all of the people that were part of the spying and the overreach and all of those kind of things, you then look at them for prosecutorial misconduct. You look at them for things that they may have done to violate the law. And I read a report too that if Gates was going to get confirmed, there was a whole slew of people that were just going to resign because they knew they were going to get fired anyway. You're going to have to approach it in that circumstance. And I think one of the other things that I saw being reported that is a great idea is taking the FBI and pushing it out into the country. Instead of having 7,000 people that are working here in Washington, D.C., push them out and actually do real law enforcement. Push them out and protect our country against illegal immigration, against drug trafficking, against all of the things that we have seen prevalent in the last 4 years in the Biden administration and a wide open southern border.
Do you agree with me that one of the things that went wrong with the FBI is post 9/11 we took it from being a law enforcement agency and turned it into a counterterrorism agency?
Yeah, I actually have a bill that would repeal the Patriot Act. I know that George W. Bush, passed that through Congress. It was a time right after September 11th where we wanted to give more leniency and ability to surveil Americans, people in our country because of the terrorist attack. But it has been systematically and summarily abused for political processes. That they use the FISA system to get the warrants to go after and spy on Trump's campaign in 2020 or in 2016. Those are the type of powers that they've been able to obtain because of the Patriot Act that I think those should be repealed. And then I think the actors within the DOJ and the FBI should significantly be drawn back so that type of activity doesn't happen. It is complete, in my opinion, it is completely unconstitutional if you have law enforcement officials using the intelligence apparatus to spy on you or to search your data or to do searches and seizures of your intellectual property or your conversations on your phone without a warrant. We have a Fourth Amendment in our Constitution for a reason. You have to have probable cause and a judge to grant you the ability to obtain that information. You shouldn't be able to use the intelligence communities in the FISA court to spy on whoever you want for political purposes. And I think there's a reckoning coming to Washington with Donald Trump's election on those issues.
I have been questioned in matters where I had knowledge by the FBI, not as a suspect, of course, but where I knew something I could help them. I've said today, if the FBI were to come to me and want to question me, and then the question was, are Basset Hound puppies cute? I wouldn't answer them without a lawyer there. So much do I now not distrust the FBI.
You and every American in our country. I mean, look what they did to General Flynn. The same kind of thing. They just wanted to come in and talk to him, and then they used some of the things that he said against him, and he was just having a casual conversation with agents, and he didn't know that those guys were mic'd up trying to trap him. They literally entrapped him, which is illegal. And so, yeah, you're right. The majority of our country has lost faith in the FBI. Frankly, they've lost faith in our Secret Service and a lot of these law enforcement agencies because the deep state and the Democrats have weaponized them against the American people. And enough is enough. That's one of the major reasons why President Trump got elected. So he has a mandate to clean house in all of these agencies and get it back to its original purpose, to protect our country from foreign threats, from our border, from immigration, you name it, to protect our country against crime, not to be going after your political enemy.
Congressman Greg Steube from Florida's 17th District is with us. Congressman, I want to shift gears. You are also on the Ways and Means Committee, and I want to know your thoughts on and your level of optimism for the Department of Government Efficiency that Donald Trump is putting in place.
It's going to be great. It's all of the things that we've talked about in the House for years. We've passed bill after bill after bill that dies in the Senate because Chuck Schumer is the leader. Not only on deregulation are we going to be able to get those things passed, but the biggest thing that we're going to be facing on that committee on Ways and Means is this tax package. All of Donald Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expire at the end of next year. We would like to make a lot of those permanent. We would like to add tax cuts that the president talked about on the campaign trail, like no tax on tips. So we will be working in earnest on all of those issues as it relates to taxes. And it's going to be a significant, it is a historic time to be on the committee, to have the opportunity in a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican White House to really put our tax and spending and budget back in order and get our country back on a fiscal prudent path.
Well, here's the demagoguery we're up against on this. This is Senator Elizabeth Warren yesterday talking to Hillary Vaughn. Here she is, cut 3.
The government is spending about $2 trillion more than it's taking in tax revenue. So yes. Where do you propose the cuts start?
Well, I propose that billionaires give back the money that they are now taking in giant tax cuts. You notice $2 trillion is exactly the number that Donald Trump's tax proposal or tax cuts in 2017 have cost. So if he hadn't pushed through the tax cuts for billionaires, right now we'd have all the money we need.
There you go. That's the demagoguery that you're going to face.
Yeah, and it's a complete and absolute lie to say that the tax cuts that Donald Trump passed 5 years ago and that we're going to do only affects billionaires. It actually, the mass majority of the tax cuts are for the middle class. For those are low and middle income people are going to see significant rebates in their taxes, significant gains in economic activity. We have 5 years of TCJA data to show the economic buoy that we have gotten from those tax cuts, and not for people that are wealthy, but for everyday Americans. All you got to do is, we just got through an election. I just got reelected. All you have to do is walk in mainstream America anywhere in our country and ask them economically, were they better off 4 years ago than they were today? And they'd say, all of these things that the Biden administration has done has made it inflation, the cost of everything more expensive, interest rates, and all of those things. Tax cuts, I believe, helped buoy a lot of that so we didn't go into a recession because small businesses had the ability to keep those workers. If the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expires just for small businesses that do the 199A deduction, they will see a 20% increase in their taxes.
Listen, so I'm a small business owner. I totally believe that's visceral to me. I totally get it.
Yeah, so that means a decision of people that you're going to hire or not hire. So
that's correct.
Of course, the left is going to try to message it that we're only helping billionaires. That's just absolutely and completely false.
Greg Steube from 17th Congressional District of Florida. Number one, congratulations on your reelection, Congressman. I hope the 119th Congress is a huge success, and I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving.
You too.